Welcome to Illuminati Silver. We tell you the truth about silver. Today is Sunday, the 10th of November 2024. And last week we saw quite a substantial fall in the price of gold and silver. Analysts are predicting possibly more falls to come. Why are they doing this? Let's take a look. Gold fell $51 last week, falling from $2,736 to $2,685, having hit a high of $2,750 and a low of $2,644, a fall of 1.9%. Gold spread between high and low was a relatively sizable $106. Last weekend we said gold would trade between $2,650 and $2,800. It closed within this range, but did dip below our outlier forecast by $6. In sterling terms, gold fell £41, closing at £2,079, and in euros it fell €19, closing at €2,508. Silver fell $1.14, falling from $32.47 to $31.33, having been as high as $32.96 and as low as $30.86, a fall of 3.5%, similar to the previous week. The difference between its high and low was $2.10. Last weekend we predicted silver will trade between $31.25 and $34. Like gold, it closed within the range, though did for an hour or so fall some 40 cents below our low forecast. In sterling terms, it's down 90 pence at £24.29, and in euros it closed down 0.70 euros at 29.34 euros. The gold to silver ratio rose from 84.3 to 1 to 85.7 to 1. Bitcoin currently stands at $76,500, up $7,000, and it may have some further distance to go. US equities were considerably higher following the Trump victory. Dow Jones closed up 1,937 points at 43,989. The S&P 500 up 267 points at 5,995. And the Nasdaq Composite up 1,047 points at 19,286. The FTSE 100 index closed at 8,072. That was down 105 points. Oils were marginally higher. Brent crude up 77 cents at $73.87, and WTI crude up 89 cents at $70.38 a barrel. The dollar index strengthened by 0.72 on the week and closed just ever so shy of 105. Now, this is what we stated last week. Quote, "This coming week, the November 5th election will dominate the media for sure. After that, we have the FOMC decision on interest rates on Thursday, which is virtually guaranteed to lower the Fed funds rate by 0.25%. But the attention will be on the prospect of another cut in December. We suspect not, as inflation is hovering at the current level, and a further fall needs to be seen beforehand. Also, the prospect of a Trump victory and the imposition of tariffs, thereby causing short-term inflation to rise, could mean they will hold off, should Trump win, until early into the new year. Well, the FOMC did reduce the Fed funds rate by 0.25%, so that now stands at 4.5 to 4.75%. Fed Chair Jerome Powell indicated that the Fed is still on track for further cuts, but did provide an air of caution based upon the new Trump presidency's economic policies, suggesting that we may have another 0.25% cut soon and then a pause. There is also much speculation as to whether Trump will try to get rid of Jerome Powell, but our understanding is that until his term officially ends, legally he cannot be removed. We shall see how that pans out. For the moment, the market believes, subject to next week's CPI data, there will be another cut of 0.25% in December and then a pause. Now, the data coming out of the US this week includes CPI on Wednesday. Markets expect the year-over-year rate to rise slightly from 2.4 to 2.5%. but the core rate to remain unchanged at 3.3%. PPI figures on Thursday and then US retail sales on Friday, which are expected to rise by 0.3% for October. As we suggested last week, the election dominates the headlines, and Trump's newfound favour with crypto and his recent bonding with Elon Musk does certainly suggest that crypto will fare well both now and into the new year, as his presidency reduces regulation in the energy and financial arenas. This will sideline gold and silver until the prospect of inflation raises its head again. Any further reduction in interest rates, whilst helping gold and silver, may for the moment help the equity markets even more as investors move towards riskier assets. If Trump manages to solve the Ukraine crisis via an enforced deal, the war premium in precious metals, which is around $100, could also force prices lower. But that said, before you jump for selling your gold and silver, further conflict with Iran, as Trump fully supports Israel, may cause those tensions to rise. So it may not all be a one-way street. With gold posting its steepest weekly decline in 5+ months, pressurized by a strong dollar, rising yields and Fed caution of future tightening, analysts are currently pessimistic gold in the short term. India's gold buying has waned after robust festival sales, and demand elsewhere currently appears flat. One caveat though, if central banks fear inflation is on the rise, you can expect to see more purchases there. Several analysts are predicting gold could fall back in the next week or so to $2,600. And while the Trump euphoria remains, this could very well be the case, and especially if inflation is higher than anticipated. While silver has taken more of a hit than gold so far, and will also be equally affected by the same factors as mentioned for gold, the light at the end of the tunnel for silver is that if the economy starts to grow quickly under a Trump presidency, and the geopolitical conflicts are reduced, we could see industrial demand for silver literally explode. However, short-term silver needs to rise above $32.50 before analysts will be convinced that the downward trend has reversed. So next week, depending on CPI and PPI, the next 4 weeks of gold and silver price movements will be baked in. Our view is that unless there is a surprise lower than expected inflation rate, gold and silver will be under pressure until the last few weeks of December. So what do we expect this coming week? Well, we expect gold to trade between $2,600 and $2,700, with $2,550 and $2,725 as outliers. Silver, we expect to trade between $30 and $32, with $31.25 and $33 as outliers. What do you think? Please do share your thoughts. If you enjoyed this video, we'd appreciate it if you would give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, press the bell sign so you're notified of videos as and when they're published. Pop on over to our sister channel, Finances Do Matter. Make sure you subscribe there. And all that remains is that you have a thoroughly enjoyable weekend and an extremely prosperous week ahead.